Welcome to Bell2Bell podcast, powered by IBN. This original audio production delivers market and sector insights, as well as exclusive interviews with innovative executives shaping the future in fast-moving industries, and may feature a client partner of IBN or one of the 60-plus investor-focused brands within IBN's dynamic brand portfolio. As a multifaceted financial news and publishing company, IBN leverages its extensive distribution network, utilizing multiple proprietary corporate communication tools to introduce both public and private companies to a vast and diverse audience of investors, consumers, influencers, journalists, and other targeted segments of the public. IBN may have received compensation to produce this audio content. Please be sure to read IBN's entire disclaimers for full disclosures. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the next revelatory episode of IBN's Bell2Bell podcast.
Hi, and welcome to another riveting conversation with me here on the Harvest podcast in conjunction with IBN for the Microcap conference. We are previewing some of the very exciting companies participating at the Microcap conference, brought to you by Dealflow Events, happening from January 28th to the 30th at the Borgata Hotel, Casino and Spa. And with me to cover Comstock Inc. is CEO and Executive Chairman, Mr. Corrado De Gasperis. Listed on the NYSE it as LODE, L-O-D-E. Corrado, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So, Comstock Inc. is involved with systemic decarbonization. It develops and commercializes technologies that extract and convert waste into intermediates for refining them into then advanced renewable fuels. You also offer engineering and construction services. Just to give us a recap on everything you have been working on for the past, say, 2 years, and just refine that message for us as to what your mission and vision is.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about over the last few years, we've basically taken the technologies that can take waste wood, lignocellulosic materials, if you will, take that carbon into extremely low carbon liquid fuels, including renewable diesel, sustainable aviation fuels, etc. We've also remarkably perfected a process for taking waste electrification products, in this case, solar panels, where we can take all of the materials, eliminate all contaminants, and be able to effectively reuse all of the materials back into new products. So all of the clean aluminum, glass, silver-rich and mineral-rich tailings all being reused so that we certify a zero-landfill solution. So excellent for the environment, incredibly profitable for reusing these critical materials.
Wonderful. So what would you say is the most compelling reason that investors should be looking at your company right now, and what potential catalysts do you see on the horizon?
Yeah, I think the most compelling is that we're commercializing both of these global impacts now. So, we invested in these energy creating technologies. We've advanced the tech to a point of readiness, but now we're commercializing. So, for example, in Comstock Metals, we have a fully operational demonstration facility. We're taking solar panels, we're processing all the materials, we're reselling them all. And now that revenue is exploding, right? We are now securing much, much larger contracts and scaling up to much, much bigger operations. But we've proven that we can take materials profitably, cleanly, and reuse them all. And the compelling thing is now it's all growth from here. Most of the panels are in the southwest region of the United States. Well, let me say most of the older panels that are end of life, California, Arizona, Nevada. So our first facilities are positioned there to take all that material. In the fuels business, same story. We've proven the ability to take waste wood, and at the highest possible yields, we're up to 140 gallons per ton of waste wood, where the next closest competitor is half that. But we've signed 5 commercial agreements, 3 in Australia, 1 in Vietnam, 1 in Pakistan, with a dozen in the pipeline, including in the United States. So those commercial announcements, those revenue generating contracts are what I think is most compelling for the story right now.
Sounds exciting indeed. Can you walk us through your competitive advantage in the market and how you're positioned to capture that market share?
Absolutely. So in the metals recycling, we have the ability not only to take these waste materials and eliminate all contaminants, but the scale that we can do them is unparalleled. We literally have a system that can do a panel every 7 seconds. This means 3 to 4 million panels a year in one facility. It also means over 80% operating margins. It's incredibly profitable. However, we don't see anybody that can do it at that speed and scale and that fully. In other words, we certify the zero landfill solution, which means every ounce of material that comes in, we're reusing. We're not sending it to the landfills. And so we're finding our customers, are either so big they need this kind of scalability, so the competition can't accommodate them, or they demand a zero landfill solution. So someone who's maybe dismantling and then only reprocessing a portion doesn't quite cut it competitively with us. In the fuels business, it's back to our yields. The fact that, well, let me say it better. The bottleneck in the industry for renewable fuels is feedstock. And so, there's a tremendous amount of competitive technologies, but what we find is either they're very niche-y, like they can handle a small piece of a small problem, or they do not enable the feedstock that can actually deliver the supply that people truly are demanding. In sustainable aviation fuel, the growth is exponential, massive. So we unblock the bottleneck by having a scalable technology, again, industry scale technology that can unblock billions and billions of tons of abundantly available waste woods and turn that carbon into sustainable aviation fuel, into renewable diesel at 140 gallons per ton of wood, where the next competitor is less than half of that. So we unblock an economic model, but we also unblock sufficiency. Like it's enough to meet the demand, to meet the problem.
Exciting. There was recent disclosure of the execution of a binding agreement with Greshams. How does
Yes.
into your larger growth strategy and what's next?
Yeah, it's exciting because we were focused on commercializing our first facility in the United States, which we are doing now in Oklahoma. We were focused on feedstock agreements and offtake agreements in the United States with some of the largest blue chip companies in our industry. But then both Gresham's and South Asian Carbon Limited, two international companies, one in Pakistan, the other in Australia and New Zealand, came to us and said, we see your technology just overriding any of the other yields and abilities that are out there. Could we license your technology for all of Pakistan? Could we license your technology for all of Australia and New Zealand? And that has resulted in almost a leapfrog. I mean, we expected to be licensing subsequent to our first facility being up and running, but because of the maturity of most of the system, people are saying, we're ready now. So saying that it doubled our focus would be an understatement. We now are looking globally at not only commercializing in Asia, commercializing in Europe, but also South America, Canada. So the pipeline of licensees has made this really a global play. And I would say this, the market in the United States could easily handle 150 of our refineries. I mean, each refinery being $1 billion deployment. That's massive. But what Gresham's and SACL and our other international partners are now positioning is exponentially even greater than that.
And so currently, what's driving the revenue growth in your core business? And then how do you plan on maintaining this momentum?
It's two things, right? In the fuel side, renewable, there's been a strong demand for decarbonization, of course. There's been a strong demand for alternative solutions for liquid fuels. But recently, the aviation industry is screaming for sustainable aviation fuel. $100 billion gallons a year is being burned with, typical petroleum-based Jet A fuels, and less than a fraction of 1% is sustainable aviation. So that is just governments, users, customers, the airlines, and developers are all demanding the ability to produce aviation fuel. And they've set themselves with targets by 2030, which means, we had to get started yesterday to meet those demands. On the renewable metal side, what caught everybody by surprise was that these solar panels are supposed to last 25 to 30 years. Well, last year they started coming out of the market after 12, 13, 15 years. And California took the lead and said, we don't want these materials in our landfills. So now there's like a tsunami of end-of-life solar panels coming out of the market that's just exploding our growth as well. I mean, in both cases, Carmel, we feel like we're barely able to keep up with the demand and get these capacities deployed for growth. So very exciting.
So we know that you are planning on presenting at the upcoming Microcap conference, and I know there's probably a lot more exciting news to disclose in that presentation. But as a CEO of a publicly listed company, what aspects of your growth story do you believe investors might be overlooking? And then, of course, how does a platform like the Microcap conference help you to better communicate these opportunities to your audience?
Thank you. Yeah, so I feel like we've been very overlooked. Honestly, we were a small mining company 5 years ago, and we took this ambitious transformation, this ambitious objective to move into this energy sector. And I think the market hasn't caught up to. I mean, it's novel to think of an innovation company developing new technologies. That's nice. It's interesting. But now that we're commercializing, the market hasn't caught up, that our transformation is done. We are actually now commercializing. Our name used to be Comstock Mining. We dropped the mining word and just Comstock Inc. But I don't think people have gotten over, that we're a truly new company. So the conference is perfect for us to truly engage with investors and let them know who we really are today, not who we're becoming, not who we were, who we really are today.
Wonderful and exciting news coming up for Comstock Inc. Thank you so much, CEO and Executive Chairman Corrado De Gasperis. We are looking forward to hearing more at the event itself. Again, that's the Microcap conference coming up January 28th to 30th at the Borgata Hotel, Casino and Spa. I'm Carmel Fisher. I'll be hosting on-site interviews at the event. Come say hi. But more importantly, stay tuned for more of these riveting companies that you can view presenting at the Microcap conference. Stay tuned for more.
The Bell2Bell podcast is an original content production powered by IBN, a multifaceted financial news and publishing company that delivers next-generation corporate communication solutions. Utilizing proprietary corporate communication tools such as news aggregation and syndication, social communication, and brand awareness techniques, among others, IBN introduces both public and private companies to diverse audiences to enhance reach and recognition. IBN may receive compensation for services and solutions provided to its client partners. You should assume that the owners, officers, and directors of IBN or financial analysts mentioned in this production may hold a position in and may intend to trade the securities in their own accounts. This production is not an offer or recommendation to buy or sell any securities that may be mentioned in this production. The information in this broadcast is presented solely for informative purposes and is not intended to be or should it be construed as investment advice. As in all investments, investment in the featured companies carries inherent investment risk. Listeners should review the companies thoroughly with a registered investment advisor or registered stockbroker. This production by IBN is not purported to be a complete study of the featured company or other companies mentioned. Information used in statements of fact have been obtained from featured companies and other sources but not verified nor guaranteed by IBN as to completeness and accuracy. Such information is subject to change without notice. Please see IBN's full disclaimers and disclosures at www.ibn.fm/disclaimer. Music in this episode is by Infraction. For more, visit inaudio.org.